It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beauties. Thank you so much for choosing us this morning. We love you for that. And yes, we are still celebrating International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste. This is such an important frontier right now. And Chef Clem is going to share some of his tips and tricks on how we as consumers, probably the most important piece of this puzzle, what we can do to prevent food waste. A third of the food that we so lovingly prepare in this country ends up on a landfill.
That's so sad.
It's unacceptable when you think of how many kids. We've got 20 kids dying of starvation in our country every day. This is not in some far-flung part of the world. This is SA.
These are the facts.
But
these are the facts,
saying.
right?
That was like pre-COVID, so it's probably even worse now. So food wastage is something we have to do something about. And it also is a great way economically to run your kitchen, I think. So you've got a couple of tips and tricks for us and some nice recipes to help us just make sure nothing is going to waste. So what have you got, my man?
And it's pretty amazing how a little bit of knowledge can save you, number one, save you money and save on food waste. And the biggest ally in the fight for me is your freezer. So the freezers are absolutely amazing. And I'm going to be honest, I love like labeling and bagging things. So you go
I can imagine,
it's like a librarian where she pulls out the thing in the Dewey Decimal System. If you open my freezer, the one drawer, it goes...
It's like a Rolodex.
Put Nesca sauce, Neapolitana sauce, arrabbiata sauce. Everything's just like labeled.
Because you put in so much love and effort to create those sauces, so why must it go to waste?
And it's as simple as, we have a rule when it comes to freezing things. If you're going to be cooking in bulk for the purpose of freezing so you can batch cook and have stuff for later, all you're going to do is, let's talk about sauces in the first place. You make a big sauce, always try and make more than you actually need. If you are going to be doing it that way, let it cool down to as close to room temperature as possible before you put it in the freezer. Okay, that makes all the difference. It actually will last years longer by doing it that way. So love your freezer. Things like pasta, when you can't actually see what the final quantity is going to be with rice or pasta, we tend to always add a little more, and then we end up with this amount or a little more left over.
Sure, I get that,
You can freeze cooked pasta. You can. And so, number one, it's going to cut down on food waste, but also, when you get that little notification that says load shedding's happening, you don't have to cook pasta from scratch. You take it out of the freezer, and it thaws out literally in like minutes, and then just add it straight into your sauce, which is what we're going to do in a second. Bread freezes. Can I grab my bread, okay?
Please do, man. Please. I don't want to stand in the way of a man and his bread.
Don't do it. Many have lost their arm. So the thing is, in a household of two, with Meg and myself, a loaf of bread is going to last a really long time. So freeze it. Okay, so you're going to hang on to that. And then I got my pasta, which I also froze. Look at you got some skills there. Wow.
I love it.
Okay, so, like I said, pasta. This is cooked pasta, and we just froze it. I leave this out on the counter, literally like 3 minutes later, 5 minutes later, you notice how soft it is, and you can actually start cooking.
Or if you've got a bubba that's teething.
Wow, rigatoni, little teething rings.
My word.
You can trademark that, Graham, at the Baba and Daba next year. Okay, another thing that freezer is great for is your herbs. Now, let's be honest, right? You're going to buy a pack of herbs, and you don't always use one big pack in one go. So what happens is the bunch you use in the beginning, super fresh. But like, maybe it lasts a week in your fridge, but they start looking a little tired. So what I absolutely love doing is I just accumulate all the herbs into one baggie, and then when I have enough, I blitz it up. But I blitz it up with the idea that, like, I'm going to create a flavor booster, or as Graham calls it, a flavor bazooka.
Bazooka, for sure.
In these ice cubes, I've got parsley, basil. I hoid in a little garlic in there, a little bit of olive oil and water, and I blitzed it all up. So I've got a real flavor booster happening in here. So if I'm going to make my sauce, which I'm going to do now, add these to it. Number one, you're not wasting all those herbs. Plus, you're going to really amplify your dish, taking it from like an 8 to like a proper 12. This is how, again, restaurants just like finish off dishes. A little bit of herbs, it makes all the difference. So love your freezer, label things, pop them into freezer-safe containers. I'm telling you, it makes such a huge difference. Number one, you always have a meal ready. And number two, you're cutting down on all the food waste, which puts money back into your pocket.
Yeah, you're going to save so much money through this process. How often on the show have we done that? The idea of a small change making a big difference. Just do a little bit of an adjustment in one part of that production line, and it affects the whole bigger picture. Brilliant. Okay, so what dish are you going to create with your leftovers?
With my leftovers. So what I've done is I took a few slices of bread, and while it was still frozen...
I'm open, Chef Clem, I'm open.
We can't do that in some cultures. We will be ended. No. Okay, so what I do is I took the bread while still frozen, I blitzed it up in our NutriBullet, but you can even use a grater while it's frozen, which I love. Because it's frozen, it's gonna have some body to it. Grate it up, get it into a pan
breadcrumbs, cool.
with olive oil or canola or whatever oil you want, and garlic. So you're gonna create these like amazing garlicky breadcrumbs. These are so delicious.
my
And in
word.
certain parts of Italy, they use that instead of Parmesan, okay?
Yeah, for
and it really gives you a lot of texture and flavor. So that's what I've done. My pasta I thawed out, and then I've got my herbs, which I blitzed up earlier. So in here's got a can of tomatoes. And this is like a 10-minute dinner, not even 10 minutes. A little bit of salt and pepper. And garlic, get that in there as well. Extra garlic if you want. I mean, there's garlic in the sauce, but you can add more. I mean,
The only thing that you have bought, literally, out of this is probably the cheapest thing in the in the menu.
And
in the
chances
recipe.
are you've got a can of tomatoes in your cupboard.
100%.
And you should, if you don't, you should just always keep it there because it's like you always need it. So I'm going to melt these cubes into the tomato sauce. Once everything's beautifully combined and looking aromatic, all I'm going to do, remember the pasta's cooked. I'm going to put it in that sauce. 3 minutes, 2 minutes later, all comes together. You got dinner in under 10 minutes, and you're saved.
And I love the fact the infusion of those flavors, because the pasta's been cooked in the sauce, it's going to take in so much more of that. Absolutely beautiful, man.
This is how you do it.
I'm going to
Especially, I'm so glad we're talking about this now because the festive season's coming.
Yeah.
And we're catering to so many like larger numbers. So we need to like clue ourselves up now, get our freezer working, start saving money. So stop wasting food.
Absolutely love it. The freezer is your friend. Bag it. I think that's my major take home here. If you're going to be doing the fresh stuff, let it cool down to room temperature.
Right.
Then absolutely you are good to go. And you can pretty much freeze anything and recreate. So if you've got flavor profiles that you like, the fresh herbs that you've been growing in your garden, make sure that not anything goes to waste. If I could ask you for one tip on saving food, what has been the thing? Because I think you seem like the kind of guy who could go quite simple if you need to. Hell, you don't even need cutlery or plates.
We spoke about something.
Yeah. What has been your go-to? Because it seems it's more of an ethos than just kind of a practice.
The biggest thing for me is pre-planning your meals. And I know with today's heavy schedule, it's difficult to be like, for the next 3 days, these are exact meals I'm going to be eating. However, if you can get a ballpark idea of what you have a framework, it stops you from buying things that you're not going to need, that you put in your fridge, and then the week goes by and you forget about that one piece of meat, one piece of like vegetable, whatever, that you've got at the back that you were supposed to cook because you felt like it then, but now you don't feel like it. So kind of just plan as much as you can ahead. That's where you can buy the exact quantity and whatever you don't need. I've kind of played around in the kitchen a bit, and I found ways of preserving almost all of my leftovers.
Everything.
And the biggest one is your freezer. Second thing, pickle things and get proper storage containers. That's the way you can properly freeze things and it'll last over a year.
Great glass, use your little Ziploc bags. Oh, buddy, I absolutely love this. And then you get the joy of watching those flavors come to life. How cool is that? You're melting your own little flavor bazookas in there. Buddy, you're an absolute genius. I'd still just do it on the braai. Live off the braai, my friend. Live off the fire. Ah, remember, preventing food waste starts with us, guys. Don't wait for big business to do it. We as consumers have to send them that message. So let's help Woolworths share a hashtag Zero Hunger Future by 2030 because it is possible with your help.